Welcome to another episode of the Prosper podcast. I have an apology to start with.
What have you done?
I was stressing about space lasers when I should have been stressing about ground, earth-based gas canisters. I nearly blew my hand off last night, Harrison.
You okay now?
Just a little bit red, but I've had it on ice, so I'm okay. But I was testing out my new gas cooker, and I screwed it in, and it's like, oh, that's a bit high. So I turned it down, and was like, wow, this doesn't seem right, but I don't know anything. And then I pressed the fire button, and this huge fireball, literally this big, just boom, just kept pouring. I was like, oh, so I was in the kitchen because I thought, you know.
Oh, you did it here?
I did it inside, right here.
Oh, no.
And I thought, this is not, like, I don't know. I should have done it outside. But
really?
I was like, it was like 12:30 in the morning because I clocked off work at like 11:30.
So it was midnight.
It was midnight,
and
yeah.
you're thinking clearly.
And I was just, it's gonna be a little, like, I had it on low. I was like, should be right.
Worst thing happened.
I threw it in the sink. First thing, threw it in the sink, and then it's this huge fireball in front of the window. I was like, this is like not. This is gonna still set fire.
Let's hope your landlord's not watching.
I had to grab the thing. I ran to the door, which is behind the camera right here, and I just chucked it onto the concrete pad, and it's just this huge fireball. I was buzzing. I was full of energy.
At least you'd be awake after work then.
Yeah. Well, I was supposed to go to sleep.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, and then I went. It eventually calmed down, and I just left it running for a bit out there. I had a shower. I came back. And it was on low. It actually was like burning low. The fireball slowed down. There was no fireball anymore. And I just filled a big pot up and put it out with some water. But and then.
Were you going to cook anything, or you just wanted to have some fun with some fire?
It was to test out to use camping.
Oh, okay.
It's a camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And I was like, oh, before I take it camping, before I start it on a hut, I should test it out to make sure that it works.
It does.
Thinking that maybe it wouldn't work at all.
Yep.
Like maybe there'd be no gas coming out, and there was definitely gas coming out, more than I needed to cook some rice or, you know, an MRE. So I apologise.
Yeah. Listeners, don't worry about space lasers.
Worry about Bunnings gas cookers because they are scary. Yep. Quite scary. Anyway, my name's Tyler Witchman.
I'm Harrison.
Welcome to the show. Let's get started.
So we've had some policy announced this week.
Fun.
Finally, we're full into election season. So the Greens, New Zealand First and National have come up with some policy. Where do you want to start?
I guess we've got to start with the solar panels.
All right, we'll start with the Greens. So solar is becoming a big issue or a big policy point this election. Labour and National have both released solar policies, and now the Greens have come up with their own. So the Greens propose creating an entity called Kiwi Power, a publicly owned renewable energy company to invest in new generation and backup capacities of renewable energy with the aims of reducing power bills and solving New Zealand's dry year energy shortages, which is often a big criticism of solar and renewable energies is what happens when the sun stops shining and when the water stops running and when the wind stops blowing. So this policy expands solar power, home installation and clean energy supports through the likes of zero interest solar loans from the government, public housing solar, and an emphasis on multi-housing energy updates as well, or upgrades I should say. The Greens argue that the intervention is needed from central government because the private sector has failed to consistently deliver affordable, reliable and secure renewable energy systems for private people, so not for corporations, but more for sort of your mum and pop home installation, your parents wanting to get solar on their home. So, yeah, what do we think? What do we make of this, Tyler?
I don't think it's I don't think it's my favourite solar policy, to be honest. I think if they wanted to create a more affordable industry, and they wanted government to be involved in that, then they could just expand solar to public housing, or more to. I would say it'd be more efficient to do it in larger blocks. But Te Whānau Ora? Was it? Te Whatu Ora blocks.
Public housing.
That's fine. Or Kaianga Ora housing as well, is what I meant to say. Like child housing blocks as well.
Yep.
But having an actual government agency that installs houses on individual roofs, you're just going to be ripped off by the private sector. That's what happens at the moment. The private sector knows that there's no real competitive tendering for the. I mean, there is and there isn't for government agencies. A lot of it's like mates rates. If you reverse mates rates, their mates will charge we know you're not paying the people us will charge you higher, right?
Yeah.
So if they just had competitive tendering and a government and focus on it, then I think that would increase demand, which then following will be supply, and following will be a reduce in price, if economics is true.
Which it usually is.
So I don't know. I feel like that would be a wiser idea with a government agency. How are they reducing dry years by using technology?
Well, I think there's more solar out there. There's more that can get put back into the grids. There's more that can be. There's more surplus already there to draw on in those dry years.
I think they're
introducing they're introducing the backup capacity and
right. So they want to build big batteries everywhere.
Yeah, big batteries into storage and that sort of thing. So even in those when the sun maybe isn't as shining, there is that backup option.
I just think we need to reevaluate this entire environmentally friendly debate and ask ourselves what really is environmentally friendly, because to me, like, hydroelectric dams are more environmentally friendly for the air than a coal power station, but they destroy the river's ecosystem. Solar panels seem to be environmentally friendly on a roof, but when you cover a paddock in them...
And when we were driving around earlier this year, we saw those massive fields with solar and just the dead grass underneath. There was no diversity, no life.
No ecosystem there. So
just absolutely destroyed it all.
It doesn't seem to actually be better. It just seems... I don't know, what it just seems to be... to use a bit of a cliche, virtue signaling.
Well,
really.
Yeah, but what is the solution? What do we do about this? What would we...
Well, I mean, there's the big no-no. There's the thing you're not allowed to say. Is Nuclear, yeah. Welcome to the future. We have had audio recording issues, so we've done a whole hour. We're back to do it again.
We had a great chat.
Same passion.
Yep, we'll love this.
Same passion 2 or 3 days later.
Apologies.
So we're just going to jump into the next topic. Right, let's jump into it. New Zealand first. Energy security through oil and gas exploration.
Yep, so New Zealand first had their annual conference, campaign launch the other week, and they proposed investing $1 billion into offshore oil and gas surveys to discover domestic energy resources and ultimately to reduce the reliance on imported fuel. As New Zealand still uses fossil fuels. New Zealand first is arguing that developing these resources would create energy security, promote economic resilience, and create economic growth overall for the nation, with even the ideas of possible exports and perhaps creating a sovereign wealth fund similar to Norway's. New Zealand first estimates this could only take 2 years, which is very quick. With potential energy production within 6 years, if commercial options are found. Now, I that's quite quick.
I just don't know if it would ever happen, even if they allow it, because there's so much uncertainty. What is certain almost is that if the Greens get into government, they would cancel it.
Yeah,
which
it would require New Zealand first to be another 2 terms in government.
And even then, like, why would you invest? You just get it going and then you'd be shut down.
Then you'd be shut down anyway.
I mean, it's almost inevitable at this point that the Greens are going to get into government. And the Greens don't think about long-term transition. They want it now. So they're not going to say we should extract our own oil and gas. First of all, use the profits from that to contribute to a sovereign wealth fund, which would be able to implement more socialist policies in our country like Norway. And then also allow us to develop new technologies from those revenues, such as solar and everything. So you're basically using what you have got to develop the future, but you've got a bigger wallet to do that. And they also don't think about the fact that if we produce here, it's going to be cleaner and greener, even though it's obviously a dirty industry, than if it's done in other countries. You see this with oil and gas in Norway, where it's the cleanest, I believe the cleanest extraction in the world. And it still is profitable, it still makes money. And at the end of the day, we're still using oil and gas in New Zealand. So if we're using it, why not use clean energy and domestic jobs and clean as possible. It's the same argument with coal. I mean, we shut down Huntly. First of all, with Huntly coal power station, you're negating all the transport from Indonesia. And second of all, it's cleaner coal done with better health and safety conditions and ultimately jobs for New Zealand. The only argument that there is to do it overseas is, well, I mean, their argument is we don't want to encourage the industry because we want to stop using coal and gas and all fossil fuels. But at the end of the day, we are using it. So if we are using it, my sort of, what I would see as pragmatic would be to do it at home as clean as possible. I think that's more environmentally friendly and still try and work the way off coal. But why not do it where it's clean?
We can phase it out, but keep it as clean as possible.
It's almost a supremacist argument. We can't do it here because we're a first world clean green country. That's why we have to do it in Indonesia. Yeah.
Well,
and that's not what they're saying, but it's what they end up saying.
They are without saying it.
Well, I don't think they mean that. I just don't think they think it through like that because that's what happens.
Yeah.
We catastrophically destroy parts of Indonesia instead of, I mean, obviously it's still destruction, but to a far more managed extent, New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, we have some of the cleaner coal. We have some of the cleanest coal. Why not? As we're still with a goal, why can't we have a good mix in between the two? Of
the mine already exists.
Yeah. So the infrastructure's there. Why not have as we're trying to transition to more renewable fuels? Why not burn the existing stocks that we've got just to get us there, to bridge that gap? Because we can't negate energy security and put ourselves in a hole just to push through renewable energy 100%. If it's going to destroy the country and be a detriment to the country in the meantime.
Well, I mean, if you haven't got the money to fund it, then you can't do it, right? And if continuing, it's just a silly argument. It's not saying if continuing fossil fuels is what we have to do in the meantime, because we already are. It's already what we have to do. So it seems silly not to allow the mining, but that's their opinion.
But they want the short term. Yeah. It's hard, and you're not going to get private companies coming in, especially with that short-term uncertainty.
Absolutely not, no. And then a government industry would probably run it more inefficient than Indonesia.
Always does. Anyway, National also, as of the 24th of July, the last piece of policy that was announced was National's new definition of consent in the sexual offence law. So National is seeking to change the law as it is written to legally define consent as an active and ongoing agreement, rather than listing situations where consent does not exist. So the party, through Paul Goldsmith, their justice spokesperson and current justice minister, but in this case he was acting as their justice spokesperson, would reinforce the idea of positive consent, that both parties must actively choose to participate every time, at all times. Now, there was a little bit of an issue with this law, with this policy. Labour has accused National of walking away from the table of already reforming consent law this parliamentary term. So there was cross-party support for this defining consent in almost the exact wording. And Labour has come out and accused National of saying, hey, we thought we were on board with this. We thought we were going to get through this term because it's an important law. But National has gone and made it an election issue rather than a parliamentary issue.
Yeah, it's pretty blatant electioneering. I mean, if you can do this law now with full parliamentary support, there's no reason not to, other than using it as something to push to the election. It's one of their we support women policies, and it's like, well, if you actually supported women, you would just do it now.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're probably riding high on the stalking law, which they brought in, which has been really well received, and quite highly commended. They're going to ride high on the momentum of that, of the people that it's targeting, of the groups that's assisting. Women, especially the young, the younger side of women, is perhaps a demographic that they think they've got a chance with this election. Which is interesting because that's not usually their target demographic. But
they've lost their target demographics. They're trying to find new ones, and they're just scrambling for any one they can get. But I don't know. I disapprove heavily of National doing this instead of just supporting people now. But that's a consistent flaw through our electoral system.
It's not a national. It's not just a national. It's a.
But National did it, so you can't let them off the hook.
No, I'm not letting national off the hook, but it's a cross-party system.
Of course,
it happens in every Western democracy where there's free and fair elections. But back to New Zealand First, one of their candidates, or former candidates now, got into a bit of trouble last week, Stuart Nash, back in the headlines.
So Stuart Nash, who had just joined New Zealand First as the candidate for Napier, he's previously been an ex-Labour minister, but he sent a message in to Chris Finlayson on the Cross Party Lines podcast, which has Phil
Goff, isn't it?
Phil Goff on it as well.
Finlayson.
So like two very institutional figures pretend that they disagree when really they basically agree on the same institutional things, just one slightly to the left and one slightly to the right. I mean, it's a bit of a silly podcast. Anyway, the comment, he called National MP Kate Nimmin. Katie Nimmin, yes, the laziest MP I've ever come across, claiming she took 9 months off on full pay after having a baby. The reality, Nimmin took around 6 months away from Parliament but returned to work in our electorate after only about 10 weeks and continued working while on leave. So there was massive public backlash at this, especially following on, I mean, not especially, this ties back into the legislation that's just happened. So MPs from almost all parties, I think we just didn't hear from, I didn't see a release from Te Pāti Māori because they're just not there, but maybe they did.
I didn't say anything.
They called the comments sexist and inappropriate. Well, they will do, I imagine. Critics argued that criticising an MP for taking parental leave reinforced outdated views about women and working parents. Christopher Luxon said Nash would not serve as a minister in any government he led. Hipkins called the comments sexist and wrong and referenced Nash's previous removal from cabinet in 2023.
It was for very similar reasons as well. It was sexist comments. They got him removed in 2023 in his cabinet as well. I can't remember the exact what he did, but there was some sexist remarks.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, Winston Peters basically Nash was gone immediately. Winston Peters didn't put out a statement. He just said he's gone. Yep. The party, it seems pretty obvious. The party said, "All right, buddy, you're out of here. That's not on." Whether it's the sexism that's not on or the bad facing for the party, you hope it's the
They did have a replacement candidate very quickly. They got a Napier City Council member who stepped in. I think within about 24 hours, they were selected as a new candidate. So whether they had someone in the wings waiting for Nash to say something stupid and get rid of him, but Nash was one of the big signings for NZ First, one of the big names that has jumped ship over to that party.
It's building their Labour base, right? I mean, even their deputy Shane Jones is an ex-Labour man. I mean, his resignation raised wider questions about the standards for political candidates, accountability, and the role of personal attack in election campaigns.
It's quite refreshing though, because you take New Zealand, it's a personal attack, and immediately he's gone.
Yeah, sure.
We don't play personal politics to the same extent as many other places. We play policy politics, whereas there's a scaremongering from National that Chris Hipkins is going to take your money, but they're not attacking Chris Hipkins on his character.
Yeah, but then so I agree. I think it's actually a positive news story as much as it's shitty because it's showing someone's acted up in Parliament and they've paid for it. But I also think that there is a shitty element to it. And sorry, you dropped the National word. Pretty much every National MP came out and posted a picture with their baby and criticised Stuart Nash, and that's fine, and that's a good thing. But it's also, again, it's electioneering from National.
Oh, of course
they're jumping on a controversy, and instead of focusing on attacking any form of sexism, any form of this in Parliament, they're going at this one dude, which deserves the attack. But they're going at this one dude and saying New Zealand First, Stuart Nash, they're just horrible people. Because New Zealand First is taking their voters. They're like, you're going to vote for a sexist party. And I mean, that's probably not true, but they have such a poor offering to the public this time that they have to resort to things like this on their side as well. So positive on the moral front, but on the national campaign front, typical.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's one of those, it's just an electioneering. We're in the election cycle, we're 4 months out from the election.
Yeah.
So expect a lot more of it. Expect a lot more of the sappy Instagram posts and the public engagements and
Yeah.
all of that, because that's just
Yeah.
how it is.
All right, Gov. Why don't you tell us about your new Prime Minister?
Yes, Andy Burnham is the new British Prime Minister, 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. From David Cameron resigning in 2016, then we had Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss for 40 odd days, Rishi Sunak, Sir Keir Starmer, and now we have Andy Burnham, former Mayor of Manchester. Got sworn in about a week ago now. Just over a week ago.
Just over a week ago now, with the delay.
As of time of recording.
Who is he?
He's a former mayor of Manchester. He got elected mayor of Manchester in 2017. Former member of parliament himself since about 2001 to 2017. He served as member of parliament under multiple governments under Blair, Brown. Vied for the leadership in 2010. Came fourth. And went for the leadership in 2015 and came second. So this was his third attempt at the leadership. He's held some pretty senior roles in previous governments. Chief Secretary to the Treasury, so sort of New Zealand's Associate Finance Minister, the minister mainly responsible for government spending oversight. He was Culture Secretary, which is the New Zealand Minister for Arts, Culture and Heritage. And the Health Secretary, so Minister for Health, if you give a New Zealand equivalent, as well as some various roles in opposition. But he is taking a bit of a Labour in a different way. The current majority party in the UK, trying to shift it away from Sir Keir Starmer's position. He became very unpopular, especially in the fallout of Lord Mandelson's appointment as UK ambassador to the US, and they discovered ties between Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein in the September Epstein file releases.
And with the rise of populism, with the whole immigration issue,
Nigel Farage and the Thorpe Britain
he's pleased no one by not taking a side, right?
Yeah, he hasn't taken a side on immigration, so he's been attacked from both sides.
The pro-mass migration side thinks he hasn't been humanitarian enough, and then the anti-mass migration side thinks that he's prioritising migrants over British citizens. So bringing in this new Prime Minister, Burnham. Bringing in Burnham, the idea is to sort of capitalise on some populist rhetoric,
which he's already doing. He's already cutting taxes. He's cutting VAT. He's cutting business costs. He's capping bus fares at I think £2.
Well, so Starmer tried to identify as a centrist, which he wasn't. He was just a nothing burger, and Burnham's trying to be soft left. So he's doing some radically left things, and I mean it's not radically left, but doing some left things, like what he's doing around public transport. But he's also doing some right things like cutting taxes, and the whole idea being that he's actually doing something, whereas Starmer did absolutely nothing. Strong public services, support for workers, greater regional power outside of London, and more practical, less ideological approach than parts of Labour. He's just trying to be a guy who does something.
Perhaps Burnham's biggest goal, though, is devolution of power. He's looking to take power away from Whitehall, away from being concentrated in London, give it back to the regions, give it back to the councils, give it back to the other countries that make up the United Kingdom. So Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland's national assemblies are going to get a lot more power and say over how they rule and the sovereignty.
Yeah, but I mean,
you quite like his number 10 North.
I think his number 10 North is a good idea, and I think so. What he's doing is he's moving much of the executive function, the prime ministerial function, to number 10 North in Manchester, instead of its current location at 10 Dowling Street, London, which is moving away from this elitist circle in London towards where the actual people are. In a more working class city, Manchester. I like that idea. I wouldn't overstate his decentralisation too much though, because he's very much centralising things. I mean, power, water, transport. He's all centralising.
Well, yeah, so, he's nationalising
yeah.
Water, energy, and rail.
Yeah, so he's
bringing the power in, but then
but I think
devolving at the same time.
Ultimately, his 10 North is is not the greatest idea. Like, it's not the most prosperous as an idea, because England still doesn't have its own national assembly. It just has the British one, right?
Yeah, it's the British one that encapsulates all, whereas Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have their own national assemblies in country.
So I think moving executive power up north is a good thing. I'd like to see in the long term London become more the capital of England than the capital of the UK. If he's really a working class person, I mean, London has just become, and it's specifically this part of London, right?
Whitehall.
Westminster, Whitehall has become so elitist, so wealthy, that moving the capital, the executive function, away, and honestly, long term for me, I personally think the legislative function of Britain towards a more central location, like we did with Wellington, like a lot of countries in the world have done when they've moved their capitals. I mean, Canberra was the similar situation. Washington DC was a similar situation at the time of the country's borders. It just makes sense bringing the power towards the people. And if you put it in a city like Manchester as opposed to somewhere like Canberra, it's an existing working class city, so you really are bringing the power back to the people. But then you can also give the power of England to the English, which would, I think, reduce a lot of the tensions around Britain versus England.
I think you find the Scotland independence movement would very quickly level out.
Well, I mean, I think a Scot feels a far larger connection to a Northern Englishman than a Londoner. I think that's almost a redundant statement to say.
Yeah, I mean, Burnham is representing that shift in Labour's politics. Is there anything more you want to talk about on Burnham?
I mean, like, you can see that Britain has been trending towards Manchester for a long time. Like, sort of,
they recognise the importance of it as sort of the gateway to future prosperity.
Well, it's a centre. It's becoming the new centre of the nation when it comes to industry and GDP, productivity, all that sort of things. I mean, the finance economy, that is the English economy, and also an extent the British economy, is for such a small group of people, right?
It's like 68 million people.
Is it? No. The finance part of that economy is so small,
my apologies.
And that's what London's known for. It's the financial, and that's where these guys are.
Yeah.
And it's a small club, and you're not in it. And moving it to Manchester, where the workers are, shows a real transition of power from the small financial circle to the working circle. And for the British, I think that's a great thing. I mean, England can choose to live in the financial world if they want, but I don't think it's fair dragging other nations along with it. And I think that's the argument that you see from the Scots and the Irish, who are increasingly going in favour of
Irish.
Well, they're increasingly going in favour of United Ireland. Not that they all are, but it's growing.
There is a bigger push.
Well, it's growing in Parliament. Like, as a percentage of the votes, you can see it's going up.
There's a bigger push even just in the general population of Northern Ireland, especially with the younger people.
Yeah, and the growth of
But I mean,
Catholicism.
you see the desire to include Manchester in the proposed HS2.
Yeah, well, HS2 was supposed to be a high-speed rail link between London and Manchester. I mean, it's now only going to...
Failed miserably.
Well over budget, $100 billion billion dollars.
Pounds, it's $200 billion.
Pounds, so 200 billion NZD is the amount
it was
meant to
cost. It was meant to connect London to Manchester, high speed. It's now going London to Birmingham.
Which is like halfway.
Just under, probably. Yeah, about West Midlands. So, HS1 is already built.
Well, HS1, I thought it was the Channel Tunnel, but it's the high-speed train to the Channel Tunnel, so it's there to get people the hell out as fast as possible.
It goes from St Pancras, King's Cross, in London to the Channel Tunnel. High-speed train in England to get people out of the country or to bring the French in.
Yeah. Anyway, for us, it's kind of a wishy-washy scenario, but it serves mainly as something to watch, a case study scenario, particularly for the Labour Party. This new, I mean, he's calling it the soft left. We'll see where it lands, but we'll see what his approach is. And
he's not going to come in and change UK foreign policy. He's not going to come in and completely disrupt the system. Five Eyes is still going to last.
I think the main thing, and you can see this with Mum Dami, is a populist model for left-wing
Yep.
politics, which you haven't seen. You've seen, I mean, left-wing politics has been pretty boring unless you've been part of it, right? I mean, you see the news and you see the anti-immigration protests and everything. That makes, like, people watch that. It doesn't mean they support it. But that
it's interesting.
Gets
It's
attention.
captivating.
Yeah. And you see a lot of people supporting it because of that. Left-wing politics is so, like, how much resources should we allocate here and there? And that's a fair argument to make, but it just doesn't encapsulate the working class people. Populism's on the rise, and the left has to take, advantage or be left behind. Anyway,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch what our Labour Party does and other left-wing parties around the world do. But yeah, no, New Zealand Armed Forces. So Alcon Intelligence, former Army Intelligence, Defence Intelligence officer.
well, okay, so this comes from a summary from Alcon Intelligence, who's by an I believe, Army Intelligence guy, but it's based on a government report.
Yeah, it's based on the New Zealand Defence Plan.
We just saw the summary online that summed it up pretty nicely.
Yeah, so New Zealand is short 1,300 military personnel and 130 civilian staff in our armed forces. So last year, the government released the 2025 Defence Capability Plan, and it signalled $12 billion of spending over 4 years, with about $9 billion of new spending, which increases New Zealand's defence spending from 1% to 2%.
I don't know if that $9 billion does. I think that the ultimate plan is to increase it.
Yeah,
from
that's
1% to 2%.
yeah. But
But I don't think that $9 billion is.
But I think
though.
in the defence capability plan, it
it's
did
over
signal
a long time. Though.
Yeah. Eventually getting up to 2%, which is sort of the global trend of where most other countries are these days, or most, especially comparable sizes to New Zealand. However, it doesn't look like equipment is the issue. We're going to be investing in planes, in ships, in drones, but that is not the issue. The issue is the personnel. 30% of trained military staff left between 2021 and early 2023. Leading to massive shortages.
It's an issue with staffing, and they argue it's not a funding issue; it's a staffing issue.
But it is.
Well, it's a funding issue because the staff are leaving because they're paid nothing.
They're paid poorly. There's a high cost of living, and military housing is just inadequate.
Yeah, it's just the private sector, the jobs, especially the engineers and stuff, can get. Why would they work for the army?
Yeah,
they can do a few years, help out, respond to floods, the natural disasters, and then get a job. Like this. It's almost. People don't see it as a serious job anymore because it just doesn't pay enough.
And in the heightened security sort of world we're in, we just had the other week China doing a live fire exercise in the Pacific Ocean.
Last year they did it in Australia's on the border
waters.
of our two territorial waters.
Yeah.
In the Tasman Sea.
Just the other week they did a live fire exercise as well.
Diverted
49 civilian flights last year.
Yeah, so our attrition, which is like the percent of behind on gear we are, is 8.5%. So we're 8.5% short on what we need, which
relatively isn't too bad.
It's nothing much. Although attrition, you shouldn't really mention attrition unless you're at war. But
it's a bit spikes and
it's a bit embarrassing. But I mean, ships are being retired early or not put into service
because there aren't people to man them.
Don't have people to man them. So we've got gear, but we just need to use it. Which you can see there's an increase in investment in things like drones. The army is going down that route. But we just need we need more people basically to want to join the army. But it's just an unattractive proposition unless you are, depending on your role, an incredibly selfless person or duty-driven person. It's hard to justify.
Especially, I think, in a New Zealand context where, you don't really... people sometimes fantasize the army of we're going to be going to these big battles and fighting, and New Zealand army goes to Samoa when they have an earthquake.
Which is an incredibly honourable job.
I'm not putting that down, but it's not what people think when they think I'm enjoying the army.
No, and it's just.
I mean, you were telling me about your hivers.
Oh, so yeah, I mean the summary of our army is my father and I we were doing a bit of a trip around the South Island. Well, we were supposed to do a trip to Auckland and we got as far as Christchurch because the ferries are cancelled. But anyway, we drove past a military convoy full of soldiers in camo, and the car was in the nets and everything were camouflage, but all the soldiers are wearing high-vis vests. And it's, you can give you health and safety reasons. They're not actually at war, they're driving around the country. But it's pretty funny to have them wearing high-vis vests over all their camo. And it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's a nice little summary of where we're at the moment.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this isn't an overnight fix. It's going to be a challenge for a little while. We're going to get all the equipment and it's just going to sit there and depreciate. I can see you're very excited to move on to the next topic.
Well,
so
onto the...
we're going to move on to
what was the exciting topic?
Yes.
We'll get to that later. Humanoid robots in New York. So school districts in upstate New York, which is not the city. The state is quite large. It's
I got told off for thinking it was the city.
We're talking 4 hours north of New York City area, maybe further. Was introducing AI robots to the classroom. The model they were introducing, well, I'll spoil it, was called Sally. Sally looks like a human woman, and Sally will be assisting teaching in high school classes. Sally, yeah.
Yeah, so it was an AI robot designed to work in robotics and STEM, so science, technology, education, engineering and mathematics.
Yeah,
classes.
It was starting in coding classes is where it was supposed to start. It was supposed to assist the teacher, not take over. So it would use district-approved curriculum and encourage critical thinking, which I pointed out I didn't believe it would. I mean, the government-sponsored robot's going to encourage you to...
Yes.
Well, the government-supported robot's going to encourage you to think critically, which would eventually lead to think critically about the government. I think it's not going to teach you how to think critically, just how you should think.
Yeah, and if you don't, then the space lasers will come after you.
Yeah, you'll get zapped through the roof. I mean, it's teaching you...
See last week's episode about space lasers.
It's teaching kids how to snitch on their parents when they say something against what the government believes, right? It's 1984. It genuinely is. It's Stasi. I mean, this robot's gonna be in there telling kids what they should and shouldn't think, and if mum and dad say something otherwise, let us know, because mum and dad might be mistaken and in trouble. Let us know.
Let us help.
Let us help. Yeah, and so I mean that's dangerous.
What was funny is the company that was making Sally. So Sally, the educational
Realbotics
was being made by Realbotics, who is known for making adult companion dolls. Or
you still haven't said it. Last run you wouldn't say it. Realbotics' main product is sex robots.
He puts it much simpler than I do.
I
think adult
robots.
companion dolls is much a nicer way to put it.
But that's because I wouldn't.
My grandma might watch this, so
yeah, and you might use this adult companion. Maybe you need that. I wouldn't know how to work it. I can't work my iPhone.
No, I'd have to set it up for you and just leave the room, wouldn't I?
I'd still break it. I don't really want
the
one.
nightlight all over again, mate.
It's quite that's quite worrying, and so.
But what's the heartbreaking part of this, Tyler?
She's been cancelled.
Didn't even get off the ground.
She's been cancelled. There's been backlash. I mean, she uses the same parts as the sex robot, I assume.
I mean, what were it was her hands, her arms, and her mouth?
The New York Times. Her hands, arms, and mouth articulate, but her legs do not move. Yeah. Right. I mean, let's scroll up. We've got some relationship.
They were going to put a robot.
85% of teenage boys have spoken to a chatbot.
As you do.
20% of boys aged 12 to 16 know a peer. They know someone. A friend.
They know a friend.
A friend.
I know
a friend who's actively dating an AI chatbot. Dating.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is a class of year 12 and 13 computer science students.
Who wouldn't know a woman if they walked in the room?
Well, it'd be mainly guys, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
58% of these boys say AI relationships are easier because they can control every part of the conversation. 26 to 30, let's just say 36% prefer the attention, emotional connection, or conversation of a chatbot over real-life interactions with friends or family. And 72% of overall US teens have tried AI companion apps, with over half of them regularly using them for support or companionship. So you're
putting an AI robot with an articulated mouth and hands and arms in a room with teenage boys that perhaps don't have the greatest social skills when it comes to the opposite gender.
That's quite a crude analogy, but they also are the ones who know how to code.
But yeah.
I was thinking more along the lines of
I'm sure you will.
they've been dating chatbots, and now they have like a pretend woman in front of them, so they're never going to talk to another girl again because they've just got the robot. But that too. Wow, this has been quite a low energy episode.
Yeah, but Sally's been cancelled before she gets even
Sally's
started.
been
A bit too much backlash there.
cancelled.
Probably not for the reasons we've outlined. I think more just people were a bit concerned that they were going to replace teachers.
Yes, but also just I think people are obviously concerned. I mean, you can see the backlash against flock safety, all this government surveillance, all this control that's coming in. I mean, usually they drip feed you things when they bring this in, right? And all of this has just come at once with AI. The cameras that are on the streets watching everything you do, robots in the classroom, AI. We're on a Google Doc and there's an AI symbol on it.
Well, yeah, Gemini.
Yeah, this is great.
It's great for
my email.
AI is good for some things. It's not great for everything.
Everything has just been introduced everywhere all at once. What is it? Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah,
That's a reference to something I haven't watched or read.
Is it a title of something?
It's a pop culture reference. There's a pop culture reference I don't understand.
We don't know. We're not up with the times.
Yeah. There's I mean, the Greens have just come out against the data centers, which we'll cover in the next episode. But there's just a backlash against AI in general. It's come too fast, and social media as well, which we might also get into next video. But our generation, the ones who are growing up with technology, but started it without it, can see how life has not gotten better with technology. And I, from Gen Z, is one of the biggest pushes against it. I mean, the boomers are all stuck on Facebook, like obsessed with it, too busy to notice what's going on. The Gen X are profiteering off it.
Well, we're the last generation that knows a life without AI.
Yeah, millennials.
I don't think we could say we're
millennials kind of pretend they don't want AI. They don't really, but they're also like obsessed with how they look on social media and painting their entire 1800s house white. And then, I mean, the generation below us just has only ever had screens, and they're struggling to get off them. And that's our siblings, and we're seeing that, right? So,
it's detrimental.
I struggle to find someone from our generation who supports this.
Who
supports this level of AI.
I think the general consensus. I mean, I'm not trying to speak for our whole generation here, but I think general consensus is AI works when it's used effectively, but it should not be used to replace. But it's doing too much, too fast, too quickly. Yeah,
I don't think there's a consensus. I just think the majority think that it's going too fast and too radical. I think there is a portion who just want it gone. A very large portion, particularly on the, anti-institutional left and right. They agree. You're talking like the people who would be supporting Bernie Sanders in the US, and the people who'd be supporting Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Like, and here, like the people who would be supporting Chloe Swarbrick, or maybe like Winston Peters.
Yeah.
Those sort of factions want it to slow down or stop, and then most of the rest of our generation will be somewhere to a lesser extent with like using AI and but having concerns about it. So
100%.
Yeah.
And it's going to be it's a scary place to see for the next 10, 15 years what happens. With the advances of AI, but also with how younger generations who have only ever known AI use it and grow up with it, and how that impacts not only social skills but also productivity, academics,
or brain function. I mean,
just general brain function. Yeah,
I look at things different. I think like quality of life. Like I think that's what concerns me is the ability to live a good life, and as you did say, social functions, the ability to talk to people, but also the ability to critical think, which I don't have either. The ability, getting out there, it's just going. We're on screens, and that's it, and that's a sad life. And I mean, there's not enough of our generation to push back against. It's basically things will change once the boomers die.
Yeah.
Things will start. We'll be able to have a
once our
change.
generation comes through the legislative process.
Well, it's not even the legislation. It's just we are numerically outweighed by our grandparents, and financially outweighed by our grandparents, and our parents will listen to us to some degree, I think. But our grandparents, so stuck that they've had everything in their life handed to them. They don't listen.
No.
You know, and I'm not attacking my grandparents specifically or your grandparents specifically. I'm saying as
But
a
it's apples and
generation,
oranges. It's completely different.
as a generation, they just, you know, it's a very and that's where you see our society is financially oriented instead of like quality of life, socially oriented.
Yep.
And you can argue to what extent you'd like things to be set up, whether it's like a total, you know, communist society where everyone's looked after by the state, or whether it's libertarian, everyone does their own things. But as a moral basis, I personally see an issue with the balance sheet being the highest worry. And that's not, but I also don't think it shouldn't be a worry, because that's what allows us to have what we can prosper. But at the end of the day, the goal shouldn't be the balance sheet. The balance sheet should be the enabling factor to that better quality of life, to letting your kids live a better life than you have. And I mean, I think we're losing our way.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting space to watch, and a bit of a scary space to watch. But that's us for today, I think.
On that note, far more energy next time. The first recording was quite funny and had quite a lot of energy, but
we were up quite early this morning.
We've been up early and come straight here and done this, and we're going to get this out ASAP.
And we'll see you
you next week.
See ya.
Bye.